Hey, this is Brandon with A2 Bikes. I'm your head mechanic over here. Congrats on your new purchase of your SP. I'm going to go through a few steps of unboxing it and getting it assembled so you could get out the door and start riding. Alright, so our first thing here is once you've got the bike out of the box and you've gotten all the foam off and everything, you will have a parts box inside, a little small box, and this is going to have your accessories to assemble the bike with. You're going to have a seat post. You are going to have your torque wrench with an extended 4mm Allen key. This is very important. This is the tool you're going to assemble the bike with. You have your seat post wedge. You've got bar end caps. You've got your stem face plate and spacers, stem hardware. And you have got a spacer kit for your handlebars to raise the stack. Now, just a note on our 1.3s and 1.4s, if you've got SRAM Force axis or SRAM Red axis, you will have an extra set of spacers in there, and there will be a lot of hardware and a lot of spacers. For all other models, you will have just this standard spacer kit right here. And then your front wheel as well. Okay, so now the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to take your front wheel and install it on the bike. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 6mm Allen bolt on your torque wrench. It is the largest one. And we are going to grab the bike. And we are going to remove the front through axle. Just standard lefty loosey, righty tighty on that one. And now the great thing about through axles and the great thing about disc brakes is that you never really have to worry about aligning the wheel. It just pops right in. And that through axle will slide right through, and then you just tension it down. Now the torque wrench is going to click at 5 Newton meters, but for the through axle you could go a little bit beyond that. And then you're good to go. Okay, so now that we have the bike in an upright position, it's going to be a little bit easier to work on, which is why we install that front wheel first. So now what we're going to do is we're going to install the seat post. So obviously we need our torque key, we need our seat post, and we're going to need our seat post wedge. Now we're going to orient the seat post wedge inside the frame here. There's a little hole on the bottom. We want the bolt on the seat post wedge to match up with that hole on the bottom. And so the easiest way to do this actually is to tilt your frame back a little bit and then slide the seat post wedge in. The reason we do that is because if you were to just drop it in there, oftentimes it falls into the frame, which is not a big deal. You just got to tip your frame over and get it back out, but it is kind of a pain. So we are going to tilt the frame a little bit, and then we are going to slide the seat post wedge in there, and it should just drop right into place, just like that. And now, with the frame still tilted a little bit so that the wedge doesn't fall out, we are going to go ahead and slide the seat post in. Don't worry about getting it to the right height or anything. We're just securing it to the bike right now. So just kind of hold it in place. Now we're going to take our 4mm Allen key, slide it inside the hole, and we're going to go ahead and torque it down to 5 Newton meters, just until that torque wrench clicks, no further. And now we're good. And again, don't worry about your seat height right now. We're just assembling the bike. Okay, now what we're going to be doing is installing the cockpit of the bike. You're going to need your spacers, your faceplate, stem hardware, and your torque key. Now, the way we do this is really important, and you got to do it in a very specific order. So now, we're going to go ahead and put the bar on there, and we're going to slide it all the way back. Now, the way we ship these bikes from the factory here is we have the bar placed all the way in the back, so both of these spacers will be out front. That will be in your most further back position that this bike is capable of. And we do that for just ease of assembly and ease of fitting in the future. Go ahead and slide both of these spacers on here. So we have a little groove right here on the bottom in the middle, and the spacers have a little notch in them as well. And so you're just gonna mate that up with there. And so they'll only slide in one way. And so it's pretty easy to get in there. Now, once we have both of those on there, we're gonna go ahead and grab the faceplate. And we're going to stick this faceplate on. Now we're going to get one bolt. Just put it in one of the holes. And just kind of get it started. Don't worry about tightening it down. Just get it so a couple threads bite into there. Then we're going to get one more bolt. And we're going to put it diagonally across from that one and just get those threads started too. All this is going to do is just make sure this thing stays in place and the spacers don't fall out. Now we're going to go ahead and place the other two in, and then we don't have to hold the faceplate anymore. We could just go ahead and start putting these guys in. Okay, so now that we've gotten all 4 bolts inside of there, it's going to be really important the way that we tighten these bolts. And so you don't want to tighten one all the way and then go to the next one and tighten it all the way. You're going to want to pay attention to the gap that you have on the top of the stem and the gap that you have on the bottom of the stem. That gap needs to be equal on the top and the bottom. So you don't want the top plate touching the stem and then the bottom one way far out. And so try to tighten these kind of equally in order. Do like maybe 6 or 7 rotations and then move to a bottom bolt. Do another 6 or 7 rotations. Just until you get kind of an even. It doesn't have to be exact, but it just needs to be close. Just so you have even tension on the top and the bottom stem. Now once this thing starts to get a little bit snug, that's when we want to center our bar and level it to the position that we want. And so again, we're not fitting the bike, we're just getting it assembled. And so now that my stem is starting to get kind of snug and my bar starts to stay in place, I'm going to go ahead and just orient the position on it. And so the bar is stiff, but I could still move it. So we kind of want these pads either level to the ground or just ever so slightly rotated up. And there's little white notches on the base bar itself. That way you could see how the bar is centered in between the stem. And once you get that centered and leveled, then we're going to go ahead and torque it down. And like I said earlier, we're going to torque this down in a very specific way. Make sure that your gap on the top and the bottom is even, and you're going to torque it in a star pattern. So let's just say we start with the bottom left bolt. Let's get that one torqued until it clicks. And then we're going to go diagonally to the right top one. Tighten that until it clicks. And then the bottom one. And then the top left one. Now your stem is torqued. We're good to go. Now what you want to make sure to, we tighten this out of the factory, so it should be good to go, but this is always something you should check on any brand new bike, is you want to make sure your stem pinch bolts are tight. Those are very important bolts. And so go ahead and come over here and just double check that these are torqued right here. It's good to go. And it's good to go. So that's just a standard safety check on these bikes. So now that we have the bike assembled, what we're going to want to do is whatever pedals you choose, whether that be SPD, SPDSL, looks, speed plays, you're going to go ahead and install those to whatever the manufacturer specs. This cranks that we stock on these bikes will accept any type of modern pedal, so no worries about that. Just make sure you install them correctly. If you have electronic shifting of any type, our batteries come uninstalled from the bike, so you're just going to have to click them into your front and rear derailleur. It's super self-explanatory. They just pop right in. And then everything should be tuned and ready to go out of the box. So once you get your pedals on there, this thing is ready to ride. Now, there is a few things that we want to run by you before you actually take off on this bike. Adjustments on this bike, you want to always do with the torque wrench. Don't do it with the multi-tool if you can avoid it. And so I would recommend your first several rides that you go out with on this bike, put this torque wrench in your seat bag or your tool bag so that you could bring it with you, because a lot of people are going to end up adjusting their seat, adjusting their stem, adjusting their handlebars while they're out on the road. And we do this just to make sure you're not over torquing or under torquing anything. That's to prevent seat post slip or crushing the carbon in any way. So this will be a very valuable tool. You don't have to carry it with you forever, but as long as you're planning on doing adjustments on the bike, take this guy with you. Another just kind of disclaimer from us, if at any point you feel in over your head, please give us a call or run this to your local bike shop. Pretty much any shop in the country could work on this thing, no problem. And so if at any point you feel in over your head, please take this to your local bike shop, or please give us a call and shoot us an email. We're happy to walk you through this kind of stuff. Just remember, always safety first. Now, out of the box, another thing you're going to want to do before you go on your first ride is put some air in the tires too. Your tires will feel firm because we do ship them with air in the tires, but depending on how long it takes to ship to you, it probably lost several PSI over the course of that. And so most of the time, the tires we stock, you're going to be running between 85 and 100 psi. That is the exception of if your tires are tubeless, which we always do on carbon wheels. Sometimes we do tubeless on the aluminum wheels if you pay for it in advance. And so if you're running tubeless, you're going to be running anywhere from 65 to 85 psi, just depending on your body weight and the type of tire that's spec'd on there. Feel free to shoot us an email or give us a call if you have any questions about tire pressure. But make sure put air in your tires each time you go ride. That's the best way you can avoid flats. The very last thing here, we have our bar end plugs. Now, this is going to be mostly for the mechanical shifting people, for the 105 and the Ultegra models. We're just going to put these little plugs in, and they pop into place just like that. Super easy to do, but these are required by Ironman and USAT, so if you don't have these, they will not let you race, so make sure you don't lose them. All right, now just a few disclaimers on the bike itself. If this is your first disc brake bike, disc brakes use through axles, and through axles, the only way to remove the wheel is with a multi-tool, is with the 6mm Allen key with this one specifically. So if you have a flat kit, make sure you have a multi-tool in there, and if you don't have a multi-tool, go get one, because if you do get a flat, the only way to change it is to have a multi-tool to take your wheels off, so don't forget that. Now, the next step that we recommend after you've gotten this bike all built is a fitting. A fitting is going to be probably the best investment you can make for this bike. Fitting would be probably one of the most important things you could do for the longevity of your body, for the longevity of your bike. And so maintenance of this bike is going to be really similar to maintenance of any other bike. You can clean the frame with just regular Simple Green or Dawn dish soap. As for cleaning the drivetrain and the componentry, I generally recommend a soft degreaser like Simple Green. Try to avoid anything flammable if possible. Usually that stuff eats too much grease and it could really destroy your bearings if you get it too deep in there. So Simple Green is my favorite. Dawn dish soap works good. Muck Off makes some pretty cool products, but just kind of read your labels and make sure if it's flammable, just kind of avoid it. Now the one thing, if disc brakes are new to you, is you want to avoid cleaning your disc brakes if they don't need cleaning. If your disc brakes are not making any noise, not causing any problems, don't touch them. Don't intentionally clean them. Don't put any solvents on them or anything. Just kind of leave your disc brakes be. Now, if your disc brakes do start making some noise, the only way to clean them is with rubbing alcohol and a clean rag. Okay? Now, again, if they're not causing any problems, don't touch them. Just leave them alone. If you're washing your bike and you're not having any disc brake problems, don't worry about getting them wet or anything, but don't go out of your way to clean them. And again, the only thing you clean it with is rubbing alcohol and a clean rag. Now, after you've cleaned your disc brakes, if they're still giving you some grief and still making some noise, you're going to want to take them into your local bike shop as soon as possible, because if you keep riding them and they're squeaking really bad, what's happening is you're burying oils and stuff inside the pad and inside the rotor, and then that could turn into a really expensive fix. And so if they're not quieting down after cleaning with some rubbing alcohol, take it into your local bike shop and they can help you out there. Alright guys, thanks for joining us for building your SP. Again, if you got any questions or you feel unsure about anything at any point, take it to your local bike shop or give us a ring. We're happy to help out. Otherwise, be safe and have fun. We'll see you soon.